Zee's D&I Digest. All things diversity, equity and inclusion in one place.
Hello, folks. Welcome. You're tuned into Zee's DEI Digest. It's really been a while. Hope we're all keeping well and safe. I'm Ahalya, your host, and you know how it goes on this series. It hasn't been that long. We dive into stories of diversity, inclusion, and equity and explore inspiring stories. And then at the end of the day, learn something new. I love this series. And joining us today is Sojal Sawant,
Vice President Programming Nonfiction at ZEE.
Now, a little bit about our guest today. She's a seasoned media professional with 16 years of experience under her belt. She's worked across content selection and creation, content development and management, television production, event management, and execution. So basically, she's an entertainment and content boss. Welcome, Sojal.
Hi.
It's lovely to have you here, and you have really had quite the career, and I'm sure everyone's going to be inspired by your insights today. So shall we get started?
Yes, sure.
Sojal, why don't you begin by telling us about your journey with ZEE? I mean, you've been here for 14 years, right? That's a very long time.
Yes, it's a very long time. I have been working for ZEE last 14 years, 14 plus technically 2 years, 2 years of non-fiction, and then moved to ZEE Marathi channel for 14 years. I've just completed 14 years in the month of January, and it's been a great journey because technically I had started with an coordinator level and I ended up my journey right now after 14 years as a programming head with ZEE Marathi, and now I have moved to ZEE Hindi as a national platform. So it's been a wonderful journey with the organization that is ZEE.
Absolutely. And now to being Vice President Programming Nonfiction ZEE, it must feel so good. Am I right?
Yes.
You're listening to Zee's D&I Digest, a download of all things diversity, equity and inclusion.
And, you know, in your time, being a woman in media, we've heard a lot of stories just from our previous guests on this series. What is one of the biggest lessons that you've learned as a woman in media?
So being a woman in entertainment industry is always been a fun. Since many of the women think that in the corporate world, women cannot succeed in their career as they need to take care of the families. But I never felt that. So I have always had that work-life balance. And as a woman, if we decide and plan our priorities in both our personal as well as the professional front, nothing is impossible. Secondly, as a woman, you should never underestimate yourself. So I'll tell you one of my dream. I had gone to one of my conferences and I had seen a ZEE conference, international conference, and I had seen a panel of 10 person on the podium, and in which all men were there, and there was only one woman, Miss Sharda Sundar. She was our cluster head then. And when I saw her, I always thought this should be my position, that amongst the 9 men, I'm the only woman standing on the podium and sharing my experience. So you should never underestimate yourself. You should just go behind your passion and everything is possible for you. And you should have the courage to complete that passion and go ahead with your dreams. So that was one of thing. And women are very emotional as a person. And that emotion portion of the women is always been helpful in media industry because media works on emotions. We sell emotions, we get emotions, we create emotions for the audience. As a woman, we should always think that everything is possible. You just need to prioritize your things.
Okay, all right. I really like that last point that you made. A lot of people look at, women can be emotional as a bad thing, but it's actually, you're saying, very helpful in the media.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, all right.
This is Zee's D&I Digest.
And, you know, Sojal, you've spent 14 plus years now in ZEE, right? Almost 16 years.
Yes.
And you've climbed every rung of the ladder that there is, and you've reached the top now. I mean, the organization surely had a part to play in that, right? Helping you get to the top. So were there any programs that helped you reach your goals? Any platform that you want to share with us?
Yeah, surely. So there was one program in ZEE, the internal ZEE. The program is called as I Grow.
Okay.
So that program helped me a lot because as an industry person, you have multiple career opportunities with you. But it's difficult to understand which way to go, which is your opportunity, which to take that opportunity. So that flexibility is always there with us. But when I go to iGrow as a program, I understood that there is an opportunity. So that was a program in the system. I just logged into that. I could find good opportunities for me. So understanding that opportunity, discussing with my manager, discussing with my HR manager, and I just logged into that processes, and yeah.
Okay, and just to clarify, so this program is basically anyone can enter it and find different roles that are available for application and then just go for it.
Yes, that is the process.
Okay, all right. So glad to know that it helps you on your way. Now, Sojal, being the content expert that you are, I'm sure that the one thing that you also have to stay focused on is the audience, right? And today, a major preference for audiences is to watch movies, TV shows, anything that has stories of representation, right? Inclusivity, diversity, that is something that a lot of audiences world over are looking for,
yes.
Right? So as someone who works in the wonderful business of storytelling, could you give our listeners today 3 expert tips on how media professionals can bring these stories of diversity and inclusion to life? The floor is yours.
So, as a media profession, as a profession who tells the stories to the viewers, it's very important that the first point you should always consider and you should always focus on is a consumer centricity. So, as we create stories are all around us. So, आज हम घर से बाहर निकलते हैं और रात को घर पे जब वापस आते हैं तो there are n number of stories around us which happened with us. So, every story is an important story. That stories we have to tell. So, कहानी तो कहानी होती है. कहानी की कोई भाषा नहीं होती है. It's just that storytelling you have to understand, and you should understand whom you are telling the story. It's very important to understand your audiences. What are they doing? What do they eat? What do they wear? How is their lifestyle? How is their a day in life? Everything if you know, and it is very thrilling experience to tell the story to the viewers. So the second point, which is very important again, it's selection of the stories. It's all about what and how. So what type of story you are telling to the audience, you are presenting to the audience, and how you are presenting. In the society, every day the society is changing. So we have seen a change from 90s to 20s or 90s to 20s to 21s now. So it's been a long journey of the viewer's mind as well. What do they expect and how will we entertain them is very important. The way or the presentation of story should be today's story. So हम आज शोले बनाएंगे तो शायद वो जमाने का शोले आज हम नहीं बना पाएंगे. हम आज का शोले बनाएंगे. It is that difference. So we had क्योंकि सास भी कभी बहू थी as a successful show, and now if you want to present a क्योंकि सास भी कभी बहू थी for the today's audience, it should be a completely different formation. It should be a complete different presentation of that show. So it's important that how you tell your stories. And 3 important C in the media profession's life are very important. 3 important C.
Okay.
First C is concept. The second C is your characters. And the third C is your creator, who is creating the story.
Okay.
These 3 C are very important in media profession's life. And then your story can revolve around different characters and the creator. So creator has to have that hunger to create the story or to create the show. जिसको भूख लगती है वही खाना खाता है. So that creator has to create that content for the audience. The understanding and the hunger is very important for the creator. So create तो कोई भी कर सकता है. एक यश जौहर भी बना सकते हैं फिल्म, एक अनुराग कश्यप भी बना सकते हैं.
Absolutely. Now, Sojal, I have a question for you. So you've given us your 3 expert tips, right? Applying these 3 expert tips, is there a movie that you watched in recent times that ticked all the boxes?
In recent times, we say, the series Family Man, and the movie is 3 Idiots. 3 Idiots ticked all the boxes, and it just cuts across all the masses and the classes. That movie is a perfect epic movie of the generation.
Okay, all right. Amir Khan tends to do only these ones.
Yeah, he tends to do.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your 3 tips and also for taking us through your journey and sharing your expertise with us on today's show, Sojal. It's been really great catching up with you. But before we sign off, I have a little game. So are you ready to play?
Okay.
This is Zee's D&I Digest.
Hello, I'm Ahalya, and before we pop back into the rest of this conversation that we've got going on, I thought that I would just give you a heads up. Now, if you're eager or interested to contribute to the conversation and dialogue that we've got going on around areas of inclusivity, equity, and diversity here at ZEE, all you need to do is reach out to ZEE's DEI cell on dei@zee.com and give them your suggestions. It's really important that we hear from you, the folks at ZEE. Okay, that's it for now. Into the rest of the conversation.
I think you're going to ace this one because being a woman in media and entertainment, you seem to know a lot. I think you're going to do great. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you film dialogues, okay? Hindi film ke dialogues, and you have to tell me which movie that dialogue belongs to.
Okay, I'll try definitely.
My first dialogue for you is this. Pushpa, I hate tears.
It's from Pushpa.
Isn't it from Amar Prem?
Oh, sorry. It's from Amar Prem.
This is the second one. I think you'll get this. बड़े बड़े देशों में ऐसी छोटी छोटी बातें होती रहती है.
दिलवाले दुल्हनिया ले जाएंगे.
Of course, iconic, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see if you can get this one. I love this dialogue. दोस्ती का एक उसूल है, madam. No sorry, no thank you.
मैंने प्यार किया?
Yes!
Yay!
See, I told you were going to do amazing at this one. I love this one. This movie actually used to scare me when I was a kid, but let's see if you get it.
Okay.
Mogambo Khush Hua.
Mr. India.
Yeah.
Why? It was scary. It was such a good movie.
It was a good movie, but Mogambo was very scary, especially in that scene where there's the sharks and all. Oh my God, I couldn't.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, this one is also very easy. Sojal, I know you're going to get this one. Picture abhi baki hai mere dost.
Picture abhi baki hai mere dost. Why can't I remember?
Vanessa K film, it did extremely well. It's a remake of an old film called Karz.
Om Shanti Om.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, chalo. Little help I gave you on that one, but no problem. Okay, what about this one? Ja Simran, ji le apni zindagi.
Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge again.
Okay,
Yeah.
do you like that movie? Do you think Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge is like an overrated film, or do you think it deserves the praise it gets?
It deserves the place at that time. Again, that time
At
is
that
very
time.
important. Yes.
Okay, so the time is important. All right.
Yes.
This one is interesting. थप्पड़ से डर नहीं लगता, साहब प्यार से लगता है.
अरे यार, चुलबुल पांडे वाला. What is that?
Yes.
But the film name.
Okay, you said the character's name, so I'll give it to you. It's Dabang.
Dabang, right.
Okay, and this one is one of my favorite dialogues of all time. Tension लेने का नहीं, सिर्फ देने का.
हाँ, but I don't remember the movie.
Munna Bhai.
Munna Bhai. Okay, लगे रहो Munna Bhai. Right.
Yes.
Munna
Well,
Bhai.
there you go. See, I told you would get pretty much all of them. I think you only missed out on 2.
Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you for being such a good sport today, Sojal, and thank you for taking us on your journey at ZEE and wishing you a very fruitful journey ahead. It's been great talking to you today.
Okay, thank you so much. Take care, everyone.
You were listening to ZEE's D&I Digest. All things D&I in one place.